My God, it didn't need to be that tough. It didn't need to be that frustrating, but I want to say that we probably should have expected that at the end of the day, but it just like, oh my God, that game was such a drag. And it was weird too because I was frustrated for a lot of the game, but I also wasn't concerned as well. It's like a mix of like so many emotions going with that game because I was confident with the way the defense was playing. Also, granted that the Green Bay Packers were just dropping like flies. My God, that was insane to even watch how many injuries and players that just went down for Green Bay. It was ridiculous at that point. So defense overall played very well. I would say there was maybe a few stretches where tackling became an issue, and that was basically it. Offensively, obviously, that's the biggest annoyance for today's game, and we'll get through that as we go along in tonight's recap and tonight's show. But end of the day, a win is a win, especially in the playoffs. You move on, you advance to the divisional round, and right now we don't know who we're going to be playing at this point. We're not going to be able to find that out until, I would say, tomorrow night after the Rams and the Minnesota Vikings play. So you're basically just waiting a few days until Tuesday, Wednesday, when you'd really dissect the matchup on who the Eagles will see next Sunday at the Link. So most either, if it's Tampa, most likely, I would say if Tampa wins, LA wins, the Eagles play Tampa, I believe, or something. I don't know the specifics right off the top of my head, but it's basically there. It was just a very frustrating win that they found a way to grind out. Defense played well despite all the injuries, the Green Bay's perspective, and the offense needs to work out a lot of kinks. But maybe we should have expected that. Granted that a lot of these guys weren't on the field for over a week. And Jalen Hurts working off the rust and all that stuff. So we'll see how this continues over the course of this week into next week's game for the Birds. But hey, before we get into all that stuff, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. If you are new to the channel, haven't hit that subscribe button yet, viewing right now for the first time, I definitely recommend you hitting that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. You can also drop a like. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. Always love to interact with you guys down there. You can also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. It is a great deal. Don't pass it up. You can use it for anything possible. I don't know how, if it's really going to help you get Eagles tickets, because especially when they go deeper into the playoffs, tickets get more and more expensive. $20 is $20 off, though. So you can use it for Flyers, Sixers, concerts, anything you can think of. If you want to use it for the Eagles game, go ahead. Go ahead. It's a great deal. You can also leave a comment down. Not a comment. You can also drop a follow over on Instagram and TikTok, TTP Sports, for Reels and TikToks and all that good stuff. I'm all over the place right now because that game was so draining. So draining on the brain. But like I said, a win is a win, and I guess that's how we should view it at the end of the day. But there definitely are some concerns, not going to lie. Offensively, it was just very ugly on a lot of perspectives, and the play calling left a lot to be desired. Play calling definitely wasn't the best today. I honestly wouldn't even say it wasn't the best. It was probably awful in my personal opinion, but there was just so many like the game starts out beautifully. You defer the kick, win the kickoff, you get the ball at the second half. Burks, right on the kickoff, bang, fumble. Trotter recovers, you get the ball instantly. So you're thinking to yourself, hey, we get the ball in the second half, and we just got the fumble recovery off the kickoff. Best of both worlds right there. And what do the Eagles do following that fumble recovery? They're in Green Bay territory, right near the red zone. Saquon, a nice little 10-plus yard run, and then Jalen Hurts has all the time in the pocket just to think to himself, maybe have a glass of water, maybe order some food. He has all the time in the pocket in the world. There was literally no one getting any pressure on the offensive line in that sequence, and then he throws a dot to The person we expected most to get a touchdown in this game was Jahan Dotson. Yes, that was the person that everybody expected. If someone bet an anytime touchdown on Jahan Dotson, one, you're a psychopath, and two, you probably won a lot of money tonight. Either an anytime touchdown or the first touchdown of the game, you're psychopaths and you won a lot of money. So congratulations to those specific people. It's probably a very few insane individuals out there, but there's probably individuals nonetheless. So yeah, definitely most expected player of the game to get a touchdown was Jahan Dotson. My God. Then defense, once Green Bay gets the ball back, force a 3-and-out, getting all the pressure on Jordan Love possible, can't hit his targets. Offense gets the ball right back. They go down the field. They get back into the red zone. Couple of runs by Saquon, couple of good throws by Jalen Hurts to get down there in Green Bay territory. But that's when Green Bay kind of shifts their defensive philosophy, I would say, for the next few quarters on how they attack the Eagles' offense. They blitzed a lot. And the offensive line, they were sending a lot of guys, sending a lot of men to stop Jalen, just to get into the face of Jalen, to make Jalen, don't give him all that time and space, just make his life a living hell, basically. And once the Eagles got into that red zone, it was basically four straight plays of nonstop blitzes, and the Eagles couldn't do anything about it, and it forced them into a 4th down situation. They kick the field goal. Elliott drains it from 30-plus yards, and the Eagles go up 10-0. And this is where the game, I guess you can say, gets a little strange. It gets a little frustrating because, offensively, it was just woof. So that basically, you go 10-0. That's the end of the first quarter at that point. And really, the first few plays, once the second quarter starts, here's Jordan Love basically throwing an arm punt, trying to hit Wicks downfield. Darius Slay in perfect coverage makes it a fantastic catch on the interception. Eagles get the ball back, but the offense, they don't do anything. Penalty on Devontae Smith. They go 3-and-out. They don't cash in on that turnover, which is annoying. That's a common theme as the game goes along. The Eagles, the defense, they turn the ball over, in that beginning stages of the game, they turned the ball over 3 times. They only scored on the fumble recovery on the kickoff. So that's very annoying there. Green Bay, they get the punt return. And this is when you're also getting to your stages where Jalen Hurts goes to the tent for a little bit. There was a lot of guys going into the tent, which was, very disturbing. Nakobe Dean, this is when he leaves the game. It was a short pass from Jordan Love to Kraft. Dean reads it immediately, makes the tackle, but he goes down immediately at the same time, automatically favoring his knee. I forget which knee it was, the left or the right knee. Has to be helped up, limps off the field, has being held by 2 of the assistants on the training staff, and then eventually Dean gets carted into the locker room and is immediately ruled out of the game with a knee injury. So that mostly gives me a telltale sign that is a very bad injury for Nakobe Dean, and that is a huge blow to this defense because Nakobe Dean, yeah, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries over the course of his early career, especially getting into the NFL. His draft year, he was injured a lot in his rookie season, injured a lot last year, wasn't really able to establish himself last season. And this year, he really established himself, managed to stay healthy for relatively the entire season, and really, became a really great duo with Zach Bond in the linebacker core. And Nakobe Dean is very huge in terms of stopping the run game as well, with the way that he just bulldozes downfield to get to the man to tackle him. And that definitely felt like it was missing something as Nakobe Dean left the game because Burks comes in. It definitely is a different style of presence there. He kind of looked lost in certain aspects, especially when Jacobs was running. But this is as we're getting down further into the different stretches of the game. But it just shows that there definitely was a missing presence of Nakobe Dean as the game went along when Jacobs was starting to take over the game a little bit. And that just goes to everybody on the defensive side. They were, Jacobs is a bulldozer. He can take over anybody at any point that he wants to. And the Eagles were definitely having a lot of trouble. And this is as you're going into the rest of the game at this point when Green Bay scores their touchdown in the 4th quarter to make this game more interesting than it needed to be. Just really terrible tackling at the end of the day. But, and Mist even brings this up in the chat right here. How you doing, Mist? Just saw he was seen on crutches, and he's also in a full leg brace. That is not good. That is not good. He probably tore something. I would assume it's either dislocation of I couldn't even tell you, but I would just automatically assume that he tore something in his knee. That's what I would have to assume. Or maybe he broke it. Maybe he could have broke his knee. I have no idea. Whatever it is, he's most likely get ruled out for the rest of the playoffs, and that is a huge loss for this Eagles defense. Huge loss. It cannot go undermined whatsoever. It's just, that sucks. That sucks. So on that ensuing drive, as we continue with the rest of this game, after Dean gets injured, Green Bay gets in the Eagles' territory, and they're thinking, Eagles, they make some good stops in the red zone. They force Green Bay to a 4th down and long situation, and then Green Bay, they decide to kick the field goal, and McManus misses the field goal. It was a 38-yard kick. 38-yard kick, and he missed it, and the Eagles catch a huge break right there. So, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Because that was a huge break. Definitely, this game made me take the notes out. It made me take the notebooks out. I got the pen right here. I got the giant notebook right here. I got 3 pages worth of this crap. 3 pages worth of this. That's how much I was looking at this game and just looking at the little details right here, play per play. My God. But as we go along, offense, they continue to just look sloppy. Jalen Hurts, he has his situations where he's not throwing the ball away, gets, sacked, can't stop the blitz. Jalen scrambles, he tries to, recover on some of that lost yardage. Nothing happens there. And then defense, they do their thing. Zach Bond, after almost getting an interception on a previous play, an absolute dime by Jordan Love, by the way. The 2 Zach Bond. It was a laser. I'm not sure where Jordan Love was trying to throw this ball to. He throws it right to Zach Bond. Eagles get the ball back, and they don't do anything with it. And they don't do anything with it at all. On that ensuing drive, after the turnover, there was a missed pass interference call on Green Bay on Dallas Goedert, which would have helped the Eagles go downfield, but instead the Eagles basically go 3 and out right there. So that is annoying by the end of the day. But the Eagles, they also had a chance to get a first down. It was a terrible throw by Jalen. He threw it in the dirt, basically. So, like I said, there was a big stretch where Jalen's passing and just his decision-making was not good. But this is also going into the stretch where there's so many stretches on the offensive perspective where you're just not using Saquon at all. It feels like you use Saquon on the first down. He gets a couple of chunk yards there, and you go pass, 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 pass. And then eventually, so many yards down the line, you use Saquon. But it's like pass, 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 pass. And we're not even talking about like the typical passes that you would see that gets the offense churning and flowing, like slants to Devontae, slants to AJ, or even a simple, slant to Dallas Goedert. And you eventually utilize Dallas Goedert as you went along in the game, and he made some electric stuff happen, but it just felt like we were targeting some weird, dots. There was a point in the game where I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they only had 3 targets combined, and I think this was going into the third quarter. So it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? It's just very sloppy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be this difficult to find a way to get certain people involved in this game. And that was happening. That was definitely happening there. Then you go to halftime. You're up 10-0. You go into the third quarter. You get the ball. First two plays, Saquon runs it. But then nothing happens. Jalen Hurts gets sacked for a loss of 7 yards. And Green Bay gets the ball back. Big pass by Love. 29-yard pass to Wicks on a 3rd down play. There were definitely stretches, too, where the defense was giving up 3rd downs. So that was kind of very annoying there, too, as well. Bad defensive bad pass interference penalty on Quinyon Mitchell. Bad pass interference penalty. It was a 3rd down play. I believe it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 13, actually, for Green Bay. The Eagles were definitely pinning them there and getting them very long yardage to deal with. Quinyon Mitchell, Wicks just grabbed him a little too early. Wicks sold it, and you managed to go downfield there. Thankfully, you forced Green Bay into kicking a field goal So they only get 3 points out of that entire situation. But also Dobbs, he goes down for Green Bay. He goes down with a concussion. That looked very ugly and very scary. Lands on the back of his head. Was down on the field for a good while. Had to get helped up finally. But the way that he just landed, like, you think it doesn't look as harmful as the replay shows, but also he's dealt with injuries in the past, specifically concussions. I think he had a concussion earlier this year as well. So it's even just like the smallest of just impact to the head. And the way that he landed, he just smacked the back of his head on the turf. And he was down for a little bit, and that was scary. And that just goes to, and as the game just kept going on, just more and more and more and more players for Green Bay went down. They lost 3 wide receivers. They were losing some guys on the defensive side. They lost some guys on their offensive line as well. And that was, even in the defensive line, that led to some penalties, that really hurt Green Bay at the end of the day. They were just losing everybody. It was crazy. And I felt bad for Green Bay fans, because if you're a Green Bay fan watching that, I wouldn't be able to even think, seeing so many players, especially when you're already dealt with losing Alexander, you already dealt with losing Watson last week, and now you got to watch all of these players go down with injury, and maybe some of them very serious injuries, as you're looking in the next year. How long can these guys be held out for next year? That, like, it's crazy to even think about that. So I would hate to be in a Green Bay fan's shoes at that point, because you just can't even think about it. Like, how many guys did they lose? They had to lose at least 7 guys. It was crazy. So I apologize to Green Bay fans there. Like, no one has to experience the rates of injuries that they went through. Insane. Absolutely insane. But then, after Green Bay makes it 10-3, getting back to the game at this point, Dallas Goedert, great catch, stiff arms basically 12 people as he's running to the end zone, gets the Eagles a touchdown. But then, of course, worst timing, Jake Elliott misses the extra point, because of course he does. Jake Elliott, he kicks 3 field goals in this game, and the one that he missed was an extra point. And all field goals that Jake Elliott kicked today were from 30-plus yards. They weren't from any egregious yardage for Jake Elliott this season. So I'm not sure if people are on the side of trusting Jake Elliott right now, or they're just waiting for the bad thing to happen. Because, like I said, and honestly, that missed extra point almost came back to bite the Eagles in the ass, but it didn't, thankfully, because Green Bay did make it a game when Jacobs got that touchdown, and he basically took over that whole drive for Green Bay when the Eagles they just couldn't tackle anybody at that point. But, oh my God, it's crazy. It is crazy. My brain entirely is just still scrambled at the end of the day. It really just is. And there was also a situation where the Eagles had the ball. This was after, Jacobs scores his touchdown. Eagles got the ball. They're trying to go downfield. They get into a 3rd-and-1 situation. They try a trick tush push to where Jalen tries to throw the ball downfield to AJ. Like, I like it in a sense, because if he failed in the pass, thankfully it didn't turn into an interception. You could just try to tush push once again on 4th-and-1. But I'm just like, why are we trying things so risky when the game is so close? Please, I just want it to be crisp. I just want it to be clean. But we would have all loved that play at the end of the day, when all was said and done. If they hit that pass to AJ, that would have been an amazing play. We all would have said that. But they don't make the play. They get the first down on the tush push. But then a couple of penalties take you out of situations to where maybe you get a touchdown at that instance. A bad hold on Devontae Smith, a bad hold on Lane Johnson forces Jake Elliott to kick the field goal. He drains that 30-plus yarder, makes it 19-10. And then thankfully, Green Bay, they try to go for it on 4th down. Pass was out of bounds. Basically, they're down to 4th-string wide receivers at this point. So pass went to the left side. Receiver landed out of bounds. Eagles get the ball back. Jake Elliott drains another field goal, makes it 22-10. Green Bay, in the few minutes that were left in the game, they try to go down the field as quickly as possible. And then Quinyon Mitchell finally gets his interception. Finally gets the first interception of his career in the playoffs. And then Saquon, honestly, you would have had a touchdown on that drive if he didn't slide in midfield because he had all that yardage open. And a lot of people were like, come on, Like, everybody that had an anytime touchdown bet for Saquon Barkley probably just fumed there. Like, they were probably screaming, yelling, breaking stuff like, Saquon, you had all of that yardage. Just go get the touchdown, man. And there was a lot of sloppiness on Green Bay's side, too, where they're like tossing and Saquon Barkley out of bounds. They're tossing him way beyond the line of scrimmage, where you're getting unnecessary roughness penalties, which gifted the Eagles 15 free yards there. And Saquon instantly knows it when it happens, and he just goes automatically pointing down the field for the first down. Like I said, it was an insane game. That just absolutely crazy. But just going overall with the offense, I don't think we were expecting it to be that sloppy. I don't think anybody expected it to be that sloppy, but I will give Green Bay credit to certain extents with the way that they were able to just constantly throw the blitz out there. Now, I'll also say to the offensive line, you got to block it better. You got to read it better. But I also want to go to the Eagles' play calling because it was just too sloppy. There was just not really much flow to the offense. You had some good drives. You had the first drive after the fumble recovery, had the nice touchdown drive to Dallas Goedert, especially on one of the first field goals by Jake Elliott as well. It just didn't feel like there was a consistent flow. And maybe that's due to maybe trying too hard to get Jalen Hurts involved into the game, maybe trying to get the rust factor off of Jalen Hurts from missing 3 weeks in a row. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there was something they were just trying to attack specifically with Green Bay's schemes on defense, especially that they were missing Alexander in this game. Maybe they wanted to attack the pass more, but then there was just also plays where Jalen Hurts had so much time in the pocket, he's holding on for the ball for too long, and he just gets into those same habits where he just doesn't throw the ball away, and he's taking a bad sack. So just a lot of things that, maybe would have came back to haunt you if Green Bay was healthier and you got away with it because Green Bay wasn't healthy. And also, Jordan Love didn't play a good game either. There were a lot of bad throws on Jordan Love's perspective. That dime that he had, the one with Darius Slay. Darius Slay just made a good play in coverage on that entire thing. And the deep ball to Quinyon Mitchell, that was just in desperation at that point at the end of the game when the game was basically all said and done there. It was just desperation. So, but overall, I don't think Jordan Love played that spectacular of a game, but I also don't think Jalen Hurts played that good of a game either. So both quarterbacks really didn't play well. So we look at the stats for today's game. Jalen Hurts, he was 13 of 21 in his completions and attempts today. He had 131 yards. He did have 2 touchdown plays, one to Jahan Dotson in the first drive of the game after the fumble recovery, and the nice one to Dallas Goedert where he stiff arms everybody. He finished with a quarterback rating of 111, so that's the one thing with Jalen Hurts. He doesn't turn the ball over. So but you are going to get into those situations where he's trying too hard to play hero ball, and he's holding on for the ball for too long to make that perfect play, and he's taking some bad sacks, even though he only took 2 sacks in today's game. But maybe that's also him trying to play it too safe, especially coming off of the concussion. So we'll see where he is going through this week, especially, you're getting the rust off, you're getting into more practices, and then you're playing a different team with a different scheme fit and everything like that. So maybe Jalen Hurts next week will be flat out fantastic. So it's just a weekly thing with the playoffs. So we'll see how it moves on. Saquon Barkley, he had 119 yards on 25 carries there. Devontae Smith had 55 yards on 4 targets and 4 receptions. Dallas Goedert had 47 yards. Jahan Dotson had 2 targets, 1 catch, 11 yards, which was the touchdown in the beginning of the game. A.J. Brown only had 3 targets in this game for 1 reception and 10 yards. And basically the the moment of the game, which was shown on the sidelines, which is A.J. Brown reading a book. He's reading a book. And the book, because people then, they see what he's doing on the sideline, then they have to do more research and try to see what he is reading on the sidelines, which is absolutely hilarious. People found this. Brendan Walker on Twitter found that it was a book called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy on Amazon Prime. You can get that for $17.97, which Jim Murphy, he is probably going to make a killing after tonight because of all the Eagles fans that are just doing this as a joke to buy the book, because it is absolutely hilarious. And it's funny too, because if you go on that Amazon page, there's already Eagles fans making comments about A.J. Brown saying how this is the best transaction of my entire life. I'll read some of these comments. One says, A.J. Brown, I'm here because A.J. Brown was reading the book during the playoff game against the Packers. Helped me on the sidelines of my football game from Tucker Merchant. I was really struggling mentally after not getting much action during my playoff game. I had one catch for 10 yards, but this book helped me keep my head on straight and realize the excellence was inside me all along. Sometimes it hurts not to get more targets, but I'm excellent anyway. Oh my God, that's funny. And then one from Jay says, A.J. Brown changed my life. I did not read this, but A.J. Brown did, who changed my life. Oh my God, that is hilarious. That is funny. Jim Murphy is gonna make a fucking killing. Oh my God. My God, I can't stop laughing at that. It's just too funny. We got some comments here post-game as well. Saquon Barkley, the only stat that matters is winning. That's playoff football, which, yeah, that definitely should be the case right there. Yeah, it really is the most important thing when you're going through these games. Just win. Just win. And anything else that really stands out? Defense, they played spectacular as always. Blankenship had a lot of tackles in this game. Nolan Smith had a couple of sacks, so he was being an absolute beast. And Jordan Love is a very hard guy to tackle, just getting sacks, because he scrambles in the pocket so fast. He escapes the pocket so fast. He is a tough man to tackle. And Nolan Smith was able to do that a couple of times in this game. One of those where he was just wrapping his feet up, and one of those where just the entire defensive front was able to get to Love and take all the space away from him to scramble. And Nolan Smith managed to get into there. Zach Bond with the interception, Quinyon Mitchell with the interception at the end of the game. He had a bad defensive pass interference penalty on that one drive, but still, Quinyon Mitchell is Quinyon Mitchell. It is going to sting losing Nakobe Dean, most likely. I would expect him to be out for the rest of the playoffs. That is a huge loss to the defensive front on the linebacking core, so they're going to have to figure out something there as the weeks go along. What else? Darius Slay with the huge interception. Defensive front doing its thing as well. Jalen Carter, I believe, have a pass deflection in this game too, so they just did their job. They did their job overall, which is all you can ask for the defense. Defense, really, in my opinion, has nothing to worry about. The tackling definitely was an annoyance at the end of the game, especially the way they just couldn't bring down Jacobs, because they were having some tackling issues as the game just went along. But I do expect that to be cleaned up. Vic Fangio is not going to let that pass as the playoffs move. I just don't expect that from Vic. So, yeah. I think that's basically it on that front. What else is there? I'm not seeing anything on interviews from Nick Sirianni in his press conference. I'm sure he's going to be going live at any point. So let's see. Let's see. I don't see anything else. I do not. Nope. Nothing on the Twitterverse. So we do have... Let's see. A.J. Brown. Of course, people post-game, they asked him the question about the book. So I want to hear this. Excellence,
the book. Yeah. Why do you read it during the games, and what does it bring to you?
Man, it gives me a sense of peace. That's a book that I bring every single game. You know, my teammates call it a recipe. You know, that's the first time I heard that y'all got me on camera. Yeah. But it's not the first game. You know, it got a lot of points in there. It's a lot of mental game, a lot of mental parts about it. And, you know, but for me, you know, this game is mental. You know, I officially believe I can do anything and everything. But now I got to make sure my mental good. It's something like how I refresh every drive. You know, regardless of if I score a touchdown or I drop a pass, I always go back to that book every drive and just refocus. Nothing matters, nothing happens. Just reload back in. You know, so. How did you feel? No, felt good. Felt real good. You know, moving around really good. You know, it didn't show it on the stats, but you know, I did a lot. You know, today. You know, for my teammates blocking and stuff. So, you know, it's all good.
Was there any?
Oh my God, that's funny. That man was reading a book on the sidelines as he brings it to every game. My God. My God, that is funny. That is funny. We do have a couple of voicemails, though, on the Anytime Hotline. We got one from Mist, and we got one from Sean. Not sure if Sean's in the chat right now. I don't think he is, but I know Mist is here in the chat. How you doing? Let's go to Mist. Let's see what he has to say after today's game.
What's up, Amadeo? It's Mist. Hey, man, I know you wanted to see a blowout just like I did, and that offense was certainly frustrating at times. Especially, I think a lot of it came down to the play calling. I think we were making a lot of mistakes that we used to make. A lot of bad third down play calls. It's frustrating, but hey, we thought there was a chance there could be some rust. It definitely seemed like the offense was a little out of sorts, but you get another week of rest, another week of, not rest, sorry, but like practice and being together, hopefully clean some of that up. The defense, aside from Nakobe Dean, which is certainly a worry, but, they played well, and they're going to make it tough on anyone that we play in the future. So we move on, we keep going, go Birds, baby.
I agree. Go Birds. And yeah, it was definitely more of the offensive perspective. I think it was more play calling than anything else. I agree with you on that. Some third down plays, it was just like, some was screen passes. Then you decide to run Saquon on a third down. Jalen would take the ball himself, run up the middle for a couple of chunk yards. It was just very questionable. And yeah, it does remind me of early season struggles when you're trying to figure things out with this offense. So maybe did they think they can get away with it against Green Bay? I have no idea. But yeah, I definitely do think getting another full week of practice under the belt of Jalen Hurts could be, and just this offense in general, another full week of practice can help them out. And also a lot of the players on the offense didn't play against the Giants, so maybe there was just rust all around. And it's funny too, now that I just, I brought this up in the Brodes Discord chat as well, Mist, but I do see people bring this up on Twitter as well, that this game felt very familiar to the 2017 divisional round matchup with the Falcons, where the offense just looked completely terrible. Offense wasn't good. Nick Foles under center. It took a while for them to get going, and they found a way to scrap that bye. They won 15-10. Granted, this week they won 22-10. But the defense, they balled out against Atlanta. Offense, they took a little bit to get going, and then the offense eventually exploded as the rest of the playoffs went on, and we all know how all that ended. Maybe that bodes well for the future for the Eagles. I have no idea. That's just people trying to point out similarities. But this was a wild card round. That game against Atlanta was a divisional round. You got to play 3 more games after this instead of just 2. So we'll see how everything carries out. We still don't know who the hell we're even playing at this point, because I'm assuming the Tampa Bay game and the Washington game just started, and I probably should put that on right now. I don't have it on currently, so I'll put it on my Xfinity stream on my Fire Stick in the background just to get things going right there. And while I'm doing that, we'll listen to Sean and see what Sean has to react to for this game.
So first, let me get the most important thing out of the way early here. One moment. Carter sucks. Carter sucks. Okay.
Sean's right, though. Sean is right. Continue.
Now, as far as the Eagles look, I think a lot of what we saw today, I guess we should have expected, right? I mean, there were some missed tackles. Well, the defense didn't play at all last week. And, of course, the passing game was pretty much wretched, but you had a quarterback that hadn't played in, 3 weeks? I mean, give some credit to Green Bay. They battled hard with what they had. It was just a war of attrition, and they finally broke down at the end. But, not pretty, but you won. I mean, if you go back, not that I'm comparing seasons, but if you go back to 2017, that first playoff win against Atlanta that year was life and death and not pretty. So we'll see what the Eagles do moving forward. The passing game definitely has to be better. You have to get Brown and Smith more involved. Negatives for me, of course, number one, the injury to Nakobe Dean. That kid just continues to not be able to stay on the field. I'm no doctor, but the way he was carted out, I would say his season is done. And that's big because, Burks, other than the hit to open the game, was being exploited by the Packers. My biggest negative, although a minor one, Jake Elliott, you cannot keep missing extra points and field goals, dude. I mean, I know he was on the money with the field goals, but missed extra points in playoff time just can't happen. But survive and advance, move on. We'll see who we play next week.
Yeah, survive and advance. And I guess you described it very well. War of attrition. That was basically what this game was. Yeah, give it to Green Bay. They played their ass off, especially with all the missing pieces, and then eventually they just broke down as the game was going on. So I'll give credit where credit is due. I think they played their ass off. They just weren't able to finish it off at the end of the day. And the Eagles found a way to come out on top, which we were expecting at the end of the day. I wasn't worried for the result. I was just frustrated with the way the game was going on, and I think it will get better as you move into the next round in the divisional. So we just got to wait and see who we're playing. And right now, Washington and Tampa are underway. They are about halfway through the first quarter. Tampa Bay's up 3-0, and Tampa Bay does have the ball in their own territory. So we'll see where that goes. But if Tampa Bay wins, I think we play Tampa Bay outright, right? Because then Detroit would play the lower seed. I think Tampa Bay is the higher seed in the NFC compared to the Rams or the Vikings. So I think in that term, we'll just be playing. We would play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just because of the seeding and all that stuff. So yeah, Tampa Bay wins, we automatically play Tampa. If Washington wins, we play either the Rams or Minnesota from the looks of it. So we'll see. So most likely, I would expect us to play Tampa. I don't think Washington is going to win this game personally. So I think Tampa Bay's experience will just carry them through, even though they're banged up as hell. But we'll see. One more check of the Twitter feed before we move on. And I don't think there is anything else. Don't think so. Yeah, Washington wins. We play the winner of the Vikings and the Rams. So yeah. Yeah, well, basically, if we don't know who our opponent is tonight, so that means if Washington wins, we have to wait for tomorrow to see who we're playing. So we'll see. Boys. But I'm going to call it here now because I'm going to have a busy night in terms of editing. So I appreciate you all for tuning in, as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Also follow TTP Sports on Twitter and TikTok. Not on Instagram and TikTok. I don't. My normal Twitter is just my name. So appreciate you boys for joining in.